It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing as a man when certain situations happen to have a feeling of rage or anger. I'm not saying it's a right thing. Okay. Get that straight. I'm not saying do violence. I'm not saying think violence on a partner ever. All right. Ever. You know that though. That's the don't eat paint warning. But that feeling of rage. Yeah. Yeah. The reason why is because when somebody says you're not reproductively valuable, back in our evolutionary past, that was a death to your reproductive success because we were in smaller tribes. So we evolved from smaller tribes where if you got rejected by one of the few women in the tribe that were sexually available, well, social proof is a thing, right? So then all the women potentially would reject you and you would be that incel. Okay. And so sexual rejection makes a guy want to prove that he's more dominant and better and well enough to, to mate. You'll notice this if you ever did any bouncing work. I know this will surprise you guys, but in my younger days, I've bounced bars. But you get a lot of observations there. You watch the chicks, you watch the dudes, you watch what goes on. You know who's getting in all the fights? Usually the dudes who aren't getting laid. Not every time. Occasionally you get the possessive guy who's girls signaling out to the world and he's being abusive. So the violence thing it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing as a man when certain situations happen to have a feeling of rage or anger. That's normal. Okay. That's a normal feeling. That doesn't mean you act on the feeling. The feeling is just an instinct. If I acted on my instincts all the time, if we all acted on our instincts all the time, we'd be dead. You know what I'm saying? We'd be in jail someplace. You can't act on the instinct. All right. So you just got to recognize that's just an instinct. And then you work to solve that problem. I don't mean to defer you to whatever, because that's just a longer answer, but the mindset course is there for a reason. It's so you get a hold of your inner emotions and inner state of being and inner thoughts. So yeah, the rage thing, the anger, I tell guys that's because telling you that that's not normal, that's not okay, blah, blah, blah. That's stupid because it's an instinct. And so, sitting here and shaming you and saying you're a bad person for thinking of violence, that's not helpful to you because it's not even honest. You know what I'm saying? That's like telling somebody, it's not an honest approach here. All right. And it's not helpful to men. What's helpful is to recognize that you have the feeling because having the feeling is real. Any feeling you have is a real feeling, not a real thing you should respond to necessarily, but it's real because it exists. And so let's address it and see, why does this exist then? And okay, why that exists is maybe this. And part of the reason that does exist is that instinct. Retroactive jealousy and mate protecting and jealousy is a instinct that goes to your gorilla mammalian brain. And that's why you feel that way. Now, how you change that though, is you focus on having an abundance of mating options. But see, I understand, like, even then though, like, people who say that mate protection or doing violence over a woman is beta are stupid. Or not stupid. They just don't. That's probably a little much, but they just don't understand the thing, right? Because here's the thing: tell that to a gorilla that smashes another gorilla and beats his chest. That's because he doesn't want him mating with one of his women in his little harem, right? Right? I mean, is that gorilla beta? No, he's actually the alpha. That's the only reason why he's he's using violence and he's using physical force to keep girls in line, to keep away, other potential mates. Okay. I mean, this is what is in our instincts. Of course, it doesn't mean that we do it. But that's why in the mindset course, man, there's stuff in there to get that emotional self-control, that outcome independence, for shit like that. All right. So you don't go, beast mode on some poor dude that your ex is talking to. You know what I mean? Like it's not productive for your long-term success. Remember, your instincts are designed for survival and reproductive success. Okay. Whether in not your long-term happiness is not where our instincts put us. Our instincts put us to staying alive enough to mate enough times to have our, species and have our, go into the next generation. That's what your instincts do. They're not designed for like long-term happiness and wealth building and being in a happy relationship with a nice girl. Like, no. Okay. So if you follow your instincts, you're going to be a failure in life. You have to know how to take these instincts and direct them in a productive direction. So this instinct and feeling of not being sexually valuable, direct that into getting better women, okay, and being sexually valuable, there to your ability to get women. That doesn't mean you need to rail through 1,000 girls to feel better about your ex, but it does mean that knowing that you have reproductive value reduces that feeling. Knowing that her, at least consciously, knowing that her opinion and her demonstration of you being not valuable enough for her reproductively is bullshit and just in her head. Okay, it's subjective and it's not objectively true for other women out there, will get you at least to bring the intensity of those feelings down. Now there's other things to do that are actual exercises and ways of, getting radical acceptance, doing some mindfulness, okay, and some meditation stuff, even hypnosis stuff that from the course you can do on your own, actually, right? And processing, EMDR processing, which is in that course too. Okay, that's the actual things to neurologically rewire the reaction you get from your ex. Your ex is a stimulus, and then you have a neural connection to a response that's been framed by your instincts. And so what you want to be able to do is recondition and reassociate that response. And there's exercises in that course to do it. If you were in my mastermind program, we would do some stuff together. Even, it sucks. It's part of our instincts, but we want to redirect our intentionality, okay, along with some exercises, and breath work is another thing I cover, things to recondition the emotional response. It's neurobehavioral conditioning. The stimulus is stuff you have going on with her. You have a neural connection, then you got a response. And so we want to recondition that response. That's what all of these little exercises do for you. That's part of your inner game, because now you're out and you see the ex and it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Like nothing. Like it's like she's just another acquaintance, right? And what's good is when you can get rid of that negative association, here's what you have left: benevolence. I know you don't want to hear this. A lot of you guys have been screwed over by a girl, but benevolence, empathy, and caring. At one point, you cared about this person. Okay. Her discarding of you or her bad behavior is just a product of who she is and her flaws. And those flaws are going to follow her into all of her other relationships and ultimately destroy her success in her relationships. Women are not designed for long-term success. Neither are we by that. I mean, neither one of us are. So, we're not dating dudes. So we're going to talk about women. Okay. But women are not designed for long-term success. They're designed to take all these problems that they exhibited in your relationship and put it on the next dude. You think that dude is going to be like a better dude or something, that somehow his magic penis is going to change her way of acting? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? And so the best thing you can do is make yourself better so you have better access to better women. And then you end up being benevolent. You end up feeling like, man, my long-term success is going to be good, whereas hers is not, probably. And I like her. I care about her as a person. I hope that she does better. Like, it gets to a point where you want your exes to be like, man, I hope she has a better relationship with somebody else than she ever had with me, because you understand that it's not a testament or a demonstration of your value. It doesn't mean that the other guy's better than you necessarily. Okay. Because there's, okay, better or worse, but then there's also fitting together. Okay. And sometimes two people just don't fit together that well. And so you want to get yourself in that headspace. I think that a lot of times anger is a secondary emotion. I think a lot of times that's true. Sometimes I think anger is just anger, just a reaction. But see, anger tends to be a male default response, though. And that's why unfortunately, the psychological community is coming from more of a gynocentric or female centered worldview or point of view. And so for women, Anger is maybe a lot more often, although not always either, a cover for emotions. But sometimes anger is just anger. And you know what anger comes from is it's a feeling of injustice, feeling that, you're going to have a sense of loss, and that there's a sense of loss to your tribe and everywhere else due to somebody else's behavior, and that they're not going to pay for it. You know what I mean? So when somebody does something that you don't feel is just, that's what causes that anger. You know what I mean? That's where that anger can come from. All right.